And bam, bam, bam. What is up? And welcome back to Nando Talk. It is Mock Draft Monday. Mid free agency vibes. I haven't done a free agency video for the Dolphins yet. I apologize for that, Dolphins fans. Thanks for tuning in right now. But I should. In the video, we'll delve into it a little bit better. As of now, though, I'd probably give the Dolphins a solid B for free agency. We have addressed some of the needs in the secondary, filling out obviously Jalen Ramsey, giving Xavier Howard and Ramsey's that wombo combo, two lockdown corners that we've hopefully, if they recover to form, solve our little cornerback issues. Deshaun Elliott brings in some needed safety depth. David Long is a nice linebacker to add in. We seem to have addressed some issues, and then some we just seem to be content with. We brought back all our running backs, all four of them. We are keeping basically the same offensive line, only signing some depth pieces. No real competition. It seems to be that Greer is content with Liam Eichenberg and Austin Jackson, one or the other working left guard, the other one working right tackle, and just being a little concerning. Unless Dan Feeney shores up that left guard spot, but as of now, it looks like Austin Jackson and Eichenberg are going to be getting work, and so it questions what's happening. We're going to be able to address some of it in the draft, and we'll delve into that right now. At pick 51, we're going to be able to make the critical choice of going for a blindside guy for Tua, a guy like Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse, a solid right tackle. Maybe we go get a true middle linebacker like Jack Campbell if he's still there on the board, when she might not be after rising up his draft stock. And then you have maybe a tight end. Maybe we get Darnell Washington or Sam Laporta. A little Sam Laporta, I think, can go in the third round. We haven't really addressed tight end room either, except for Eric Saubert. We just have Durham Smythe penciled in at starter. Very weird, very interesting what route we're going at. And we're going to delve into a couple different situations for pick 51, which I think is the most important for us in the draft. As we talked about in the last couple of Mondays, pick 51, it's not your ordinary second round pick. Not only is this a deep enough draft that we can still be getting talent at this level, but we are also seeing this pick as our quote unquote first rounder, because we traded one for Bradley Chubb and we lost the other one due to tampering. So we have to knock out this pick. This is 25% of our draft, and arguably in importance, it's more than 50%. Honestly, this second rounder can truly make or break how we define this Dolphins draft. If this is a success, if it's a failure. So, as you know, I'll be looking into different mock drafts, testing out the different scenarios. Oh, Mr. Adam Bossman, love the little U. Okay, we'll talk about the U in a second just for that. Raphael, thanks for tuning in pre to the show. You are a legend. And damn, JM Santos, Nando, appreciate you, man. Fins up. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, before we delve into the mock drafts, I do go to FIU, but shout out FAU and Those boys are dancing in the Final Four. We could be seeing a South Florida final for the March Madness. The ultimate chaos is seeing this uber Cinderella story, okay? A 9 seed in FAU, it's a 5 seed in tearing down opponents, fighting, having that absolute beast within, just staying in games, staying hungry. And I would love to see a finals for them. I'd love to see and FAU just absolutely cook it into the finals, man. Big task, obviously, at hand. For FAU, I think they have a real shot. They have to play San Diego State. It's not like they have this menacing opponent, this colossal blue chip team. No, it's not a blue blood, bro. It's San Diego State. It's just a 6 seed or a 5 seed, I think. It's something that's doable for them. And it's the best case scenario. FAU, all you got to do to win March Madness is to get hot for 6 games. And they've gotten hot for 4. They can get hot for the 5th and the 6th. That's all them, baby. And as a guy who's got a lot of FAU games in the past, it's pretty cool to see them actually this deep into the tournament run. For I love the little quote of, hey, don't pick us, like they knew nobody had bought into them, and they rode that ship, that mean streak, and took it and have taken it and carried it to the Final Four. And it's fantastic to see that level of cold-blooded play. Okay, Jordan Miller went perfect 27 points. I think he had 13 like free throws, 7 field goals, where I'm inverting those numbers. Something ridiculous. Okay. 7 for 7, 13 for 13. Those are the numbers I remember. I don't know which ones are free throws, which ones are actual field goals made, but regardless, my guy was perfection, cold-blooded killer. Wong is balling as well. Like they're a great team. Okay. Like they can get spicy, man. Now they do have to play UConn, and that's gonna be a bloodbath. That's gonna be a great game. But hey, we're ready to rock and roll with it, man. Bada bing, bada bang. Oh, Cap for life. Thank you for tuning in, bro. Always a pleasure to see you, man. There we go. Ooh, let's go. We got an owl in the house. You know, I'm a Panther. You got the paws up, but dude, mad respect for what FAU has pulled out through. The fact that they went from never having won a single NCAA game. I think it was just their first appearance in the tournament, and then they won every single round so far. It's their first Final Four because it's their first time this deep in a tournament. Like, my God, I would love this. This would be the ultimate Cinderella story. It's a 9 seed, so there was some respect on their name. But at the end of the day, the Conference USA champs, if they can pull this off, then talk about an upset, man. My God. Yes, Washington won't be there at 51. Trade down. That's another scenario. James Santos will definitely be talking about that as well. Trading down, trading up, which I don't think we'll really do unless maybe Jahmyr Gibbs is right there within our fingertips and we really think it's tempting. Or we see Jack Campbell or someone from the first round slides down there and we see, whoa, pick 33, pick 34. There's a beautiful gem. We make a call overnight and bada bing, bada bang, swing in there and get that pick. I could love to see that. But trading down is probably going to be the best option, man. You get that extra pick, particularly in the 4th or 5th rounds. There is value to be had. In the 4th round, we can get good tight ends. We can get a guy like, I'm going to butcher his name, but Schoonmaker from Michigan. My guy, Luke Schoon. Bring that type of receiving threat in, which in the 2nd round is a pretty hefty price. But in the 4th, especially with that trade down, beautiful. Or maybe you can get your running back, a nice secondary piece in that 4th, 5th round. There is great talent to be had in this draft. If there is ever a year where a first rounder is not as necessary, this is the year. If there's ever a year where trading down is good, this is the year because this is a deep draft. Picks 20 through like 70 are very closely ranked. They could slide down some boards, and if the Dolphins want to make some moves, either up or down, I am all for it. We've only got 4 picks, though, so obviously a trade down is a lot more likely. But, hey, we're ready to rock and roll with that. Rafael, thanks for coming back, man. Hey, we're all legends if we're all Dolphins fans. You know, that's how I view us. There's 31 other fan bases full of losers out there, and one full of legends, full of greatness. And it's here in the Miami Dolphins, man. I love it. I love it, man. Bing a ring. Cinderella story for FAU. That's what I was talking about before we hopped in. Or UN, kind of, 716 Dolphin. Thank you for tuning in here. We're loving this kind of energy, this vibe. We're about to jump into the mock drafts. Just saying hello, just getting us started off. Man, go get Washington if you are scared to get a number 1 running back. I would not be opposed to trading up for either of these guys. Yo, shout out Batman, the legend. My guy, if he's into Darnell Washington for good reason, at 6'7", 270 pounds, cap for life, and everyone listening. Darnell Washington, 6'7", 270 pounds. He's a freak of nature. He's athletic to boot. He can catch. Not the most refined receiver, especially when it comes to route running, but as a blocker, my God, he'd be an instant 6th lineman, especially considering our offensive line isn't the greatest. So he could definitely hang with the big boys. But that frame of 6'7", 270 pounds, 6'7", 270 pounds. Wow, I can't speak today. That's a sight to behold. And I would love to see him line up right there. If we can't get a true premier right tackle, we're going to be needing a guy like Darnell Washington to be helping a whole lot. And then on those tricky plays where you can break off the line and go for a little reception, maybe over the middle, steamroll over a safety or linebacker, or get big in the end zone. Darnell Washington, he's got the size of frame and the speed to do it, man. He's the type of player who I would absolutely fall in love with. And if he's at pick 48, send something, man. Send a 6th or a 7th. Dangle a little carrot in front of their face and say, give me that pick because I need Darnell. I don't want to risk it. Obviously, it's a sight to behold. I don't think he's going to fall to 51, but a trade up would be lovely in that scenario. Bebop, thank you for tuning in, man. Yeah, he won't be there. And all the mocks we've run, and as we've said in past Mondays, mock drafts, me and Jack squat. Um, they do have him projected in that 40 to 44 range, which is a little painful to see them go like 9, 10 picks right before the Dolphins. But Darnell Washington is the kind of player who more and more GMs will fall in love with the more you look into that tape and say, we're going to be the ones to unlock that. Rookie tight ends, they historically have a hard time transitioning to the NFL because they're either not asked to be a tremendous blocker and they're focusing solely on receiving in college, or it's the opposite and they are a tremendous blocker and they don't really go out there for catches. Darnell Washington, he's been asked, why wasn't he a full starter from day one? He was that blocker. He became more of that receiver his junior year, and he's unleashed that, and he's taking that to be a second round kind of guy. He's creeping up them draft boards, but GMs will fall in love with a player that they say, my God, he can already block. We just have to teach receiving a bit. He's got the size and frame that you already love. The things that you can't teach, you can't coach up that big boy. Hey, let's rock and roll with it. I love Darnell Washington. But without further ado, I think we should start going into, yeah, don't know what with the Sixers. Hey, man, that's what I'm saying. Like, if it's at pick 40 and you see a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Darnell Washington, you got to move up 10 slots. Be like, hey, we'll throw you our pick 51 and maybe Noah Benogany, maybe one of these running backs that we signed. We don't need them all, particularly someone Ahmed and Myles Gaskin. They've got some cheap contracts. Ooh, this is an interesting thought. So before we get into the mock drafts, are we in the mix for Lamar? The tinfoil hat combines with the GM hat. Are we in for Lamar Jackson? As you know, I do have a Tua jersey behind me, so obviously this is going to come off a little skewed, but we got the tinfoil hat on, so let's let it rock and roll. My argument always against the Lamar Jackson has been the price. The price. 2 first rounders with this transition tag. Considering we don't have any first rounders this year, first of all, puts us out of the race in that sense. Now, I don't know if this is possible. I haven't read into this. I was just seeing this on Twitter before the show. Maybe we are allowed to straight up still trade for Lamar Jackson, which again, I still think is going to be an exuberant price. It's still going to be something pretty hefty. If 2 first rounders is the cheap deal, my blood curls a little bit to think of what's the expensive deal. That means you're going to at least have the draft compensation with maybe some players as well. Now, Lamar Jackson did let people know, oh, hey, I requested a trade since March 2nd. So that puts a lot of pressures considering when there's a lot of owners meeting in Arizona right now. So they're all chatting and chuckling next to each other. They're all looking at each other's eyes and saying, hey, you want Lamar? You dealing with them? They're feeling out the prices. And if a regular trade could be done, maybe it's still some draft picks and a little bit more compensation in the form of players. Maybe it's a comparable something that what the Rams did, and they send a QB and some picks. They'll see what they do. Lamar Jackson, though, has, for all intents and purposes, made it known that he's probably not going to be a Raven. I don't see a world happening where Lamar Jackson stays with Baltimore. You don't really let the media know, hey, by the way, I asked to be traded 25 days ago, and nothing's happened. Wow. Okay, that's literally saying I'm unhappy here. I talked to boss about quitting 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm still here. So someone else wants to take me in, that'd be lovely. Lamar Jackson to the Dolphins, though. Let's say, I don't know if we wait till draft night, then you can get a Lamar Jackson. You can use the first rounders of the next season. Until draft night, though, we can't straight up go for the transition tag. If we do a regular trade, even then, we're talking about loading off 1 to 2 first round picks, which I think is already expensive. It makes me a little scared considering that Lamar Jackson still wants that big, hefty, guaranteed money. If he wants 250 million guaranteed, 260, if he still wants somewhere in the ballpark of Deshaun Watson, no, sir, I cannot do that. Not with the injury concerns. If I have concerns of Tua with his injuries, but it's a much cheaper price tag, and it's, he's already on the team. I can get behind a guy who's already a Miami Dolphin and who's working and he's sweating and he's trying to play for this team and he wants to win and who has won for this team. It's a whole different story for me to shell out players and picks for a guy who has had similar injury concerns, albeit has reached far higher heights, has soared to the MVP caliber. But because of that, he's going to cost a lot more in terms of a trade package and in his actual contract. And in that sense, it turns me off a bit. If Lamar Jackson was a free agent, if it's just a sign him, as much as I love Tua, hey, that's just smart business. You're just talking about upgrading off of free agency. Same thing what I said with Tom Brady. That's a whole different story, you know. And I want Tua to succeed. I want him to be that guy. Free agency is another thing. But trading is something that just too expensive for QBs. It has worked in the past. We've seen it just produce a Super Bowl for the Rams. But everything went right for them that season. A couple of poor injuries, they missed the Super Bowl, and then they're in the same situation that they ended up in this year. Absolute misery and hell. Okay. They won a Super Bowl and it paid off. That is not to say it is a perfect, tried, true formula of success. I would love it to be so. But if it were the case, every team in the NFL would be dialing, barking up every single tree, trying to trade it for quarterbacks. It'd be looking like the college transfer portal. You'd be getting star QBs switching teams every year because that's all it takes. But it takes a lot more than just a QB. It takes a full team. And when we just talked about in the last 5 minutes that we still need to address right tackle, still need to fix up that O-line. We still need to get better running backs, maybe improve the tight end, which I get. A guy like Lamar Jackson, the thought process is maybe he mitigates those concerns. Maybe he masks those areas of weaknesses. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's good enough for us to get to the AFC Championship, and then we realize, oh, snap, we're out of money. We're out of ways to get talent, and this is the limit. This is the ceiling. Like it or not, I prefer the situation of the world we live in right now, where we have this big Super Bowl window where we are looking and saying, hey, 2025 is the ejection seat. Okay, we can blow up the team. We can reload. We can rebuild, whatever it is. I'd hope it'd be a reload, not a rebuild. I don't want to live through a rebuild right now. But, I mean, in an ideal world, we don't live through any of that, and we just reload because we have a Super Bowl under our belts, because that's the window. It's a 2-year window. Now, I'm not saying Lamar Jackson closes or makes that window any larger. Who's to say? What I do know is that this is a team that needs extra help at other positions, and I feel a lot more comfortable filling that out and remembering that football is a 22-man sport, 53 men on the roster, but 11 starters. Special teams, I never know how to really factor that in, because some guys start on offense and defense, but whatever. I'm getting too deep into this. The point is to say it goes a whole lot more behind quarterback. And that's just my personal thoughts on the Lamar thing. It's just something that's not feasible. Well, it's not to say it's to cheap out on it, but I think that there's just a smarter approach to building a team, and just exactly that, building a team. And then there's still that hope that Tua puts it together and he's healthy. If he's not, you pull the ejection cord and you figure it out 2024, 25. But I think a team would be good enough. Okay, we saw that last year, up and downs, 9-8 playoff game. Hoping of a better team, less holes, more health, and all parts. I'm more confident with that strategy. But let me read some comments. That was just off the dome, by the way, guys. So hope you guys appreciated it. But for the price of 2 firsts, we would have to wait till day 2 in the draft. I believe July 2nd is the deadline for transition tag in question, is when Ravens would match the contract, though. Exactly. So even in that scenario, which is why I know a lot of teams have been hesitant to reach out on this. This is like you have your significant other. You are literally catcalling another person. And if they accept, cool, you can get your quote unquote trade up. If they don't, you have a pissed off significant other next to you. A lot of teams aren't willing to say, hey, yeah, we're offering 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson. And then the Ravens just match, and then you don't get Lamar, and you have an upset quarterback. We could do this route. We could wait until then, and then the Ravens just match, and then we're just left looking like fools, and then it's just not a pretty situation at any point, man. I don't know. I'd rather keep our first-rounders. Yeah, maybe after the draft. I don't think anything until now then. Yeah, exactly. 716 Dolphin. We have a low price QB health questions. Obviously, if he stays in the field, we're golden this year and next year. Lamar, we're going to lose some shiny toys. Yeah, we already are seeing that situation of we haven't paid Christian Wilkins yet. We still have brought in bigger names, bigger guys. We've already pushed back our cap situation. We can keep pushing it back. And I know that the Saints have done it. And I'm going to get to your I think cap for life to your comment in a second. I'm just going in order, but we'll see. And yeah, DeAndre, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to timestamp this. This is the longest intro I've ever rocked. I've not done a single mock draft. I've been talking about actual Dolphin stuff. I'd even rename this episode, but I'll hopefully do a mock draft in a second. I understand your concern, but remember the New Orleans Saints were way over the cap, and somehow one year they found a way to pay Derek Carr. The salary cap is not fake, but not real. I agree, Cap. It can be adjusted, but can you name me the other stars that the Saints have? You know what I'm saying? Like the Dolphins, the Saints don't have a Tyreek Hill. They don't have a Jalen Waddle waiting in the wings to pay. I mean, a Christian Olave, I guess, kind of, but they've got an Alvin Kamara, and I want a better running back. They've got a decent offensive line. Their defense isn't the craziest, but we've got more talented pieces, and we've got some more talented youth that I do think we're going to be having to pay in the future as well, which I would love to see us adjust the cap for them. There is a world where we're still going to be screwed if Tua balls. We're obviously going to have to pay him as much, maybe even as more than what we have to pay Lamar Jackson, maybe in that same ballpark, maybe a little less, whatever it is. We're still going to be facing an issue of money down the line. I just don't know if I want to bring it to a head this season. It's not like exactly if it guarantees me a Super Bowl. If I had a crystal ball that said Lamar Jackson would guarantee me a Super Bowl, firing on all cylinders, obviously. But I don't know, man. Not like a bunch of holes. It's more of the fact that Bebop, we last year when Tua went down and we had a couple injuries in the secondary and we had a bit of a banged up offensive line, we saw how this team quickly went from an 8-3 team to a team that went sputtering very fast, that dropped 4 or 5 games in a row, that was looking quite mortal, that still had its stars, but was clearly missing something. And then whether it was consistent QB play, whether it was a healthy offensive line, whether it was a strong, healthy defensive unit, hopefully this year they all stay healthy and we don't have to figure it out. But I thought we were missing out maybe some depth, particularly in the secondary. Granted, Trill Williams, Nick Needham, they're coming back, so that's going to fix itself there. Offensive line, Tron Armstead was a freaking warrior and played through his injuries. We did start, though, Brandon Shell. We were starting Lester Cotton at some points. This team can go from stars to thin really quickly, and it's not a fun thing to see. That being said, it's not like we have the craziest holes, but we do have some things to fix. Thoughts on trading down and getting Darnell Wright? If Darnell Wright is still there, I'd love to see that. Again, mock drafts are not the end all be all. I have not seen one that has Darnell Wright in the down direction. I think we would have to trade up for Darnell Wright. This kid is, he's nice. Little Tennessee Volunteer. I thought it was the 6'8" guy from Ohio State. No, this is a 6'6" though. He's still pretty nice. Pretty solid tackle. I love the SEC play as well. He's gone against top tier caliber players. I'll run a mock in a second, and if we could trade down and get an offensive lineman, I would absolutely love that. Maybe a guy even like Cody Mauch out of North Dakota State could be there. He's risen a lot in draft boards, going from the top of the 4th to bottom of the 2nd. So Cody Mauch, maybe a Darnell Wright. I'd have to look into that, but that could be pretty interesting. 716, you're a legend. Yes, remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. We're almost at 1K. We are 839 right now. So I shout out to the U15 people who subscribed over the last 2 days off of just like one short. But you guys are absolutely legendary. If you've enjoyed some Nando talk, keep checking for the positive vibes. I'm gonna have to Uber timestamp this for those watching afterwards because it's about to be 25 minutes in and I've not hit a single mock draft, but I'll be doing that for the next 20ish. Mr. Flog, what's up, Finn's family? Yo, what is up, my brother? How is he doing, man? Always a pleasure to see you here. No, Kamara, Cam Jordan, Lattimore. That's it. And then Chris Olave. That's what I'm saying, though. But besides that, they don't have an Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey. They don't have a Christian Wilkins level player and Emmanuel Ogba and Bradley Chubb and Jaden Phillips that you're going to have to pay. They have an Olave and they've got Michael Thomas who's been injured, but they don't have Tyreek Hill, number 1 receiver in the NFL, and Jalen Waddle, who's up there and one of the best receivers in the NFL so far. Like they've got a great team, the Saints, but it's not the same, my friend. It's not the same. Dun, 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 dun. hope we fix offensive line, but I like Blake Freeland only available at pick 51, and he didn't look good at the Senior Bowl. Yeah, at 51, maybe Matthew Bergeron might be there. Steve Avila has been there in some mocks. I doubt he'll be there. The TCU guard is too good. But it shore up left guard beautifully. I want to tackle. Bergeron might be a guy. Maybe Cody Mach. That could be a situation where we trade down a couple picks and still get one of those tackles. We're going more in the late 50s, high 60s. I would love to see that. However, it's not to say it's the best situation. Obviously, you want a veteran right tackle. We missed out the boat on most of them. Any of the good ones, anyways. There's obviously maybe getting like a Lyle Collins if he moves on, but Oh, Brandon Ayuk wants to trade. Okay, I love Mr. Ayuk out here. Dang, I should start a mock draft though. The reason why I also have been a little hesitant on the mock draft, guys, is because while I was loading this up, PFF is now pay to mock draft, which is so lame. I have found some backup websites, didn't really test them out too much. Brandon Ayuk wants to trade that was absolute insanity. The San Francisco wide receiver got a lot of familiarity with McDaniel. If we could send them over, maybe Cedric Wilson, whoop, I love that. But as you can see now, to subscribe to unlock, they're gonna make me pay, man. And I don't know if I'm trying to do all that jazz. I don't know if I'm trying to pay, just for this little mock draft. Your boy doesn't pay, $7 a month, maybe. If you guys think it's worth it, we'll do it. If not, I've got other websites. I don't really mind. But let's keep it going. This is the site I'm going to be using for now. It was pretty solid, I'd say. I like the trade feature it had. So we're going to go fast. And we are the Miami Dolphins. Screw you, PFF, though. Yeah, Scotty, FPFF, man. Like, so that's some money grubbing, man. You guys don't need my $7 a month just for a draft feature that's going to be useless in a month. I literally have been using this for the last 6-7 mock draft Mondays. Now they decide to screw me over. I guess after I went on Stephen E with Clock Blockers, I guess it had enough views that they were like, you know what? It's time to charge people. But it's all good and dandy. Oh, this is why I like this, though. They do offer a pick. This New England Patriots, I would go and kick Belichick upside his head if he thought this would go through. Sending me a 4th rounder, 2 6th rounders, and then 2 4th, a 2nd next year, a 4th next year, and a 6th next year. It's a lot of picks. It's a whole lot of nothing, though. Like the 2nd rounder next year would kind of be cool, and it'd be kind of useful to flesh out some stuff. But you screw me over this year in a way that I say no, New England. Nah. All right, this is why I don't like this site, though. None of this is going to happen. No way is Luke Musgrave going to be here. No way is Jahmyr Gibbs going to be here. No way is Jack Campbell going to be here and Cody Mach. Okay, this would be the most ridiculous scenario of all time. And it's why I'm already missing PFF. And so we'll do you just round 2 in PFF just so I can talk about this point. But I'm going to have to definitely rename this episode because this is not a true mock draft Monday. Yeah, none of that would happen, Scotty. That was ridiculous, bro. Like, you know how many trade offers the Miami Dolphins would have, and we would be forced to trade down if there was Jack Campbell, Luke Musgrave, and Jahmyr Gibbs on the board. My God, you just trade down 2 slots, and you'd be so happy with no matter what would happen. I'm gonna do the PFF one, just the 2nd round though. You're not getting $7 out of me. Although that was wild how bad that was. I can't even go to turbo speed. That's insanity. What a cheap PFF, man. This is the best part about not being monetized, no sponsors. Sorry, PFF. Screw you. You guys are some cheapos, man. Exactly. It's just manipulation. Like that was the big thing we discovered, Scotty, over the last mock draft Mondays. You could kind of game the system. After the seventh mock draft, I was a genius GM every single day. I could figure out the tendencies, and we're ready to rock. Call it mock the mock. Exactly, man. I'd be mocking that mock. Like, ooh, I love my little wordplay. That was glorious, JM. Definitely gonna have to retitle this episode and rework the graphic because it is not a true mock draft Monday. We're just gonna call it a Miami Dolphins Monday, but we'll see here. We'll play with pick 51. Well, I'm just gonna do endless 51 simulations because I think this is really what determines the rest of the draft. And really, when you do mock drafts, I know we make fun of mocks doing completely unrealistic situations and scenarios, things not falling exactly. Nobody knows what a GM is thinking. Nobody, or else you'd be working for the NFL. But when you do a mock draft, focus more on the position itself. I don't view this as, oh, the Dolphins are going to go for Matthew Bergeron. I view this as pick 51. I want the Dolphins to get an offensive lineman. I want them to shore that up. A right tackle as a rookie is a little worrisome that if he's not good, if he ends up like an Austin Jackson, it could flop in our face. If he's of the Robert Hunt caliber, then hey, he could be good in starting for us and ready to roll since day one. I'd rather take that gamble more at guard, a position that has less of a learning curve. But hey, I want the Dolphins to go offensive lineman. So whether we go Matthew Bergeron here in short right tackle, whether we go Joe Tippmann and ask him to play guard, or say, hey, Connor, Mr. Williams, Joe Tippmann, we love his hair, we love his play from Wisconsin. They've always got great offensive linemen there. Would you move back to your natural position of left guard? And despite Connor Williams is extremely high center ratings, hey, we could see him make that transition. But focus more on that draft position. So if we went offensive line here, guys, in that third round of pick 84, there's a lot of talent left at secondary, at corner, some safety help. Maybe there's a linebacker, although not likely. That'd be more of a reach. We could take a running back, or if Sam Laporte is there, you get some flexibility by getting your offensive lineman out of the way early. Maybe you trade down and then you can get some more spots that you can get a tight end and a running back, and then you can use your 6th and 7th rounders for depth or higher upside, lower floor project kind of guys, or just your safe. Hey, this is going to be a rotational linebacker like what Cameron Good was supposed to be for us. A lot of times, offensive lineman, it's not the flashiest pick, but I think it's the safest one. In this situation, Drew Sanders out of Arkansas, he's a nice linebacker. Could be interested in him. We would have just missed out on Jahmyr Gibbs, which is absolutely brutal. If he's there at pick 50, I could see the Dolphins trading up for him because that's just key, man. It's boom. It's yours, no credit. Exactly. I'm calling some GM and going thinking they're a genius and draft Darnell Washington in the first. Yeah. Like it's some GMs are just fall in love. How often do we see? I mean, look what the Patriots did. Didn't they draft? Who is that? They drafted like some guard like a year or two ago, who a lot of people had projected in the third round, and they went in and got him in the first because GMs just fall in love with players sometimes. Especially if you're established in the NFL, you've kind of got your mold. There's a saying that there's no such thing as a reach as long as he's the top guy on your individual board. Now, granted, if your top guy is a 6th rounder and it's the number 1 pick in the draft, you're an idiot. But that generally doesn't happen, obviously. There's a reason GMs has jobs. So we could see, Luke Musgrave is the talk of the town as the number 1 tight end on all the boards. He's the best chance of going in the first round of any tight end. Maybe some GM says, hey, Darnell Washington is my kind of guy. Bergeron at 51, in my opinion, is a no-brainer. It only would get muddy if Washington is there. I agree, 716 Dolphin. Like, if Jack Campbell or Darnell Washington or Jahmyr Gibbs there, that's obviously the caveat. Now, the super caveat is that neither Campbell nor Gibbs, probably Washington, won't be there really either. But Washington has the highest chance because that's more GM to GM based. Not all GMs have the highest opinion on tight ends. Maybe they say, hey, Washington's a phenomenal player. I can get similar value at a position that has a smaller learning curve and more ready to go at the same pick. So Washington would love to have you. I'm going to pass on you, and I'm going to pass on you. And that's how players slip in the draft. It just takes one GM to pass on him. Domino effect. Maybe the Dolphins get lucky. But I think Bergeron is that no-brainer, man. Yeah, Cole Strange or something like that. Pats grabbed it and he had like a fifth, sixth round grade. It was something ridiculous. Like I remember the Rams were laughing. McVay and their GM were just all giggling like little schoolgirls saying, like, I can't believe the Patriots drafted him. Like, we don't have a pick till the third round, fourth round. And then we were looking at him. Now we've got to completely reevaluate our board. And they thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And I would too, honestly. Sometimes my guy Bill Belichick might be slipping a little bit. But in this situation, though, you could trade down for sure. It won't really give us a trade down situation because, I mean, yeah, we would trade down. We wouldn't be able to actually do the picks themselves. But here, like for example, the only trade down situation would be the Eagles. Trade down 9 slots, and you pick up a third, sixth, and a seventh. It's not even worth it unless, yeah, I get a fourth round next year where I'm a little bit more barren, where I don't have a fourth or a third next year. You could do something interesting like that. I could see the Dolphins trading down as long as it helps them in this year. Maybe if it helps them win some picks next year because we don't have a third or a fourth rounder. But in this situation, I'd want the Dolphins to just say, hey, there's some great talent there on the board. But if it's to slide back 9 slots, I think the most we should slide back is 4 or 5, maybe 6. So let me give me Bergeron. That really wraps up the draft because it's just PFF is cheaped out on me. What are you going to give me, an A off one pick? How dare you take this long on one pick? Not even a grade. I guess you got to pay for that too now. Oh, sorry. We're going to mock it again. I mean, I guess for other teams, they're happier because they can do daily draft limit reached. What? Bro, who has been on this is episode like 7 of Mock Draft Monday. I have done 10, 11 mock drafts in one day. And now you want to strip me of this? Now that we are 1 month away from the mocks, we're going to have to pay $7 for this. I will rectify this mistake. I'm obviously not going to do this now, this deep into the episode. And I'm not going to do my credit card information on here. But yeah, this is ridiculous. So the point of this entire episode, LOL PFF, indeed, Scotty. We're going to rectify the situation for future episodes, and because I would love to be able to just pull up mock drafts at any time. But PFF, you will only be taking $7 from me, and then I am canceling on draft day. Okay. Now, if you're a fan of Nando Talk and you want to see more of it, I actually have no way for you to accept donations yet. So I'll do it myself. Don't worry. Cancel after April. Indeed, JM Sanchez. I'm going to have to do that for the next episode. Wow, that was so brutal, man. So lame. So lame of PFF to be able to do that for me. But oh well. We'll definitely fix that. I'll try this other site that I also had. I like this one even less. But oh well. We can't end on that note. That was just disgusting. All right, 7 rounds. Fast. Dolphins. Let's a draft. Because we saw that other one was ridiculous. Okay, they had us. PFF has now cheaped out on us. And then that other site was totally unrealistic. We have a trade offer. Pick 61. No. All right. So someone had been talking about Darnell Wright earlier. I think it was DeAndre. So shout out you. He's actually here. He's the Tennessee man. Slips. This would be an interesting situation. Although Jack Campbell is here on the board. So this is a no-brainer. Run to the board. Run to the hills. Give Vic Fangio his man and be absolutely overjoyed. Darnell Wright could be interesting. Oh, but Jahmyr Gibbs is right there too. No, we're gonna restart. We're gonna give you guys one more chance. If not, this is just an unrealistic sim once again, and I'm gonna be sad, and we're gonna have to regame this entire episode. Ooh, my new hot take is a D lineman out of nowhere comes out of nowhere to be a focus. There was guys, like DJ Johnson, I think his name is from Oregon. He ran like a 4.39, 4.44 for like a 260-pound defensive lineman. He could be an interesting guy in the 6th or 7th round. I could see the Dolphins trying to add a bit more. If Fangio says, hey, I'm going to run a very light personnel. I need specific guys. And I'm missing this one specific defensive lineman. Let's get a 6th or 7th guy. And we're good to roll. We're going to say no to the trade again. Stop hitting me with the ads, too, if you're not going to be good. All right, more realistic. A little bit still shoddy with the fact that Luke Musgrave fell here, but I guess the scenario played out that we had talked about. You know, Washington gets drafted early. Yep, it's 37th overall to the Seahawks. Wow, great pick for them. GM loves them there, and we get to miss out on that. DeJuan Jones, that 6'8" monster, takes 30th overall. It looks like Jack Campbell is still here. Probably won't happen for the Dolphins, but if he is, you run to the hills. You run for that. Okay. We bring in Jack Campbell to the Dolphins. Nope. Well, actually, I should have definitely done that just for an extra 7th rounder, just to slide back one spot. But oh well. That's hindsight. Owen Papo out of Auburn has definitely risen in boards. He had a fine combine as well. A very athletic Auburn linebacker right there. I don't think he really fits our needs, though. Oh, yeah, because I went Campbell. Oh. So here, Joe Tippmann actually falls in the 3rd round in this world. Bergeron is also here. This is a no-brainer if that were to actually happen. And right tackle's not the most coveted draft spot. It's a world where I could see him sliding, which is why some people are hesitant of us getting him at 51. He could definitely be there a little later. I don't see him falling all the way to 84, but everyone has their own rankings. I'm going to pretend he's not here, though, because it's just not realistic. I have seen Luke Weipler, though, in other worlds. So I'm probably going to go best offensive lineman available. Tippmann might be there as well, but I've seen Weipler slide a little bit further. We'll go Tippmann, though. Just, again, I just want to see us to get the best offensive lineman on the board here. Don't focus so much on who it is, but what so much the position in this scenario. Pick 51 was a little different. But we'll see here what pick 6 gives us. 6th rounder. Ooh, Cameron Peoples. That's a nice little App State running back who's been linked to us. Juice Scruggs. We all saw Mike McDaniel at the Penn State Pro Day. He's laughing and having himself a good time. Juice Scruggs, center this year, but he played over 500 snaps as a guard in college. My guy can do it both ways. And that versatility in the 6th round is too hard to pass up on. Let me see if there's other talented names. Muhammad Ibrahim, fine running back out of Minnesota. We saw Deuce Vaughn there, the 5'5" Kansas State back, is a great player, very athletic. But I'm going to go with Scruggs. Yeah, I wouldn't move Scruggs at center in this world. My big thing with a lot of centers, they can also play guard, same way as some guards kick into center. At center, you have that upper tier intelligence on the offensive line, a little bit more athleticism too. Maybe not the size of some guards, but if Scruggs has played guard in the past and he has that familiarity with it, I'd like to see him at left guard. And we didn't bring back Michael Dieter. In the world where, God forbid, Connor Williams goes down, you have the flexibility of having a center turned guard who can slide back into center and fill it out. That's been my logic with Juice Scruggs. Not a lot of people agree, but that's my not so hot take. But it is my take, my stance. And if he goes in the 6th round, I'd love to have that snipe under my belt. But in the 7th round, Evan Hull out of Northwestern, fine running back. We haven't gotten one, so he might be the option here. I don't really love the talent too elsewhere on the board here. Brendan Strange out of Penn State, another guy we've been linked to. So between getting a running back, I guess I was gonna go for Hull, but I'd rather go for Strange, who I've seen us get linked to. So we go double Penn State in the 6th and the 7th. And bam. Campbell, Joe Tippmann, Scruggs, Brandon Strange. If we went Campbell, we got our linebacker. We went top offensive lineman at 84. Oh, why did I get Scruggs and Tippmann? I'm an idiot. I wasn't paying attention. New mock. The point is, guys, whatever the Dolphins end up doing. Oh, if you guys can hear those ads? That'd be so annoying. Point is, guys, that's an excellent point that I hadn't considered. I didn't know Feeney could also be on that center lifestyle. The guard for sure, and I would love more guard depth. My God, is Greer really going to go with offensive lineman? This mock draft is pissing me off. Computer's slowing down. We're definitely retitling this episode. The people who have stayed through and listened to this, you are legendary. We still got the tinfoil hat on. We still got the GM hat on. The mock draft Mondays, we're going to have to rework these episodes around Miami Dolphins Mondays, maybe. But the point of this is to say the Dolphins draft stock so far seems to be a hotter topic now. For agency, I'll give us a B. I hadn't considered Feeney being the center replacement as well. Guard flexibility for sure. But it seems to be that Chris Grier is content with rolling out Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg. It seems that Mike McDaniel is confident in their growth and development. A bit head scratching considering we fired Matt Applebaum and said we need a new offensive lineman coach, but I digress. It seems to be that we are going to be rolling out with at least Eichenberg or Austin Jackson, maybe both. We'll have guys like Feeney maybe playing a little bit. Maybe we might bring back Brandon Shell. But unless we draft someone in at pick 51, unless we get a later on guard on tier offensive lineman in the 6th, 7th round, we might have some concerns on our hand. I'm still trusting Grier. I still think that if we love someone in the draft, let's make a move for it. I think that if we'll get more money after June 1st, if there's some cuts, if there's some veteran moves, some roster shakedowns, and we're able to get a guy afterwards, I'm okay with that as well. But as of right now, I'm a little bit more concerned at tackle. I believe it's our biggest remaining hole. Not to say we don't have other holes. We still have to fill out, I believe, maybe tight end and running back, maybe some fresher depth. Although, considering we brought back all our tight end, we brought back 3 tight ends. We have brought back 4 running backs. I don't see us making too many moves there. I would have been interested to see us draft a safety, but we brought back Deshaun Elliott. And he just did a dingus move with his little Lamar tweet. But at the end of the day, happy with the moves we've made. I give us a solid B in free agency. The offseason grading is obviously a B right now, with hopes of maybe going to an A if we knock out the draft out the park. But we're going to have to reanalyze that. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, you can be told to be. So Feeney said in his interview he chose Miami because he was told he would compete to start. Scotty, that's an excellent point. I think every player is told. I would hope most players are told you can start. Most players believe that as well. Feeney obviously saw the opportunity here, considering at guard we had a bit more of a rotation and a tackle as well with some of the injuries. I liked Feeney in the past. I think his brightest days are past him, but he could definitely step up and fit. And if McDaniel thinks that he fits in the system, I'm all for it, man. Laporte at 51, Tippmann at 84, Palmer at 197, and Warren at 238. I do love the idea of us getting a tight end in the draft, considering that we might need someone and we only have some blockers or some complimentary receivers, Raphael. Um, I'd want to see us, if we're going in the second round, I want to see us to get Washington. If we go Laporta, I'm hoping we would trade down and then he's still there at top of the second, maybe even top of the third. But yeah, um, yeah, tight end, interior offensive lineman, wide receiver, offensive tackle. That's beautiful. All offense. Maybe Fangio is not too happy with that. I would see him maybe getting at least a defensive player, whether it's a linebacker or a secondary piece, even if it's in the 6th or 7th round, at least giving him one toy to play around with. I think if you do go the 3 offensive pieces, we'll probably see a defensive player either to start the draft or in that 3rd round. But Fangio's going to get a slice of the pie, I think. He reminds me a little bit of Incognito. That mean streak, huh, Scotty? Ooh, the bully. Uh, Dang. Well, I think that pretty much heads me into final thoughts because I'm gonna have to rework mock draft Mondays, guys. It seems I'm not rework it. I'm just gonna buy PFFs. It's gonna be $7 and we'll be good to go. I am gonna retitle this episode. It's not a true mock draft Monday. It's more Miami Dolphins draft talk with a mock draft. But thank you all for listening and tuning in. The road to 1,000 subscribers gets clearer and clearer. Next Monday is my birthday, April 3rd. But next Tuesday is my 1-year anniversary with Nando Talk on the YouTube grind. So I don't think I'm going to get 1,000 subscribers in the next 7-8 days. But if I could get close, or if I could get some push, it would make a young birthday lad quite happy. So thanks for tuning in. I'm going to be buying the PFF thingy and canceling it after a month so I can just run some mock drafts, but we'll be good to go and we'll be a lot better. So thank you for the support. As always, I think if the Dolphins actually go out there in the draft, knock it out of the park, don't reach, get best player available. Jason Sarney, shout out the legend. If you haven't followed him on Twitter, if you haven't read any of his articles, please give that a look. He had a great quote last Tuesday when we were talking on Miami Sports Music. I'm going to butcher it a bit, trying to paraphrase, but it is BPON. Best player of need. No, BPONA. Best player of need available. You know, I love that saying because while you want best player always, of need has to take a priority at some hand. They should go hand in hand and work together. And you should look at your board and say, hey, like honestly, we need tight end, we need offensive linemen. We could use some running back. We can use some more defensive pieces. What is the best of that trimmed list available right now? And that's what I want Greer to take. Would I love to see us trade up and snag some home run talent? Sure. If we can work some players in that and maybe get 2 second rounders or still keep our second rounder or not sacrifice any of our later round picks, that's awesome. We could trade down and accumulate more late round picks to flesh out this team further and get some more depth. And honestly, there's some more talent to be had in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rounds. That'd be lovely to see as well. If we stay true to our 4 picks and we just get best player of need available, I'd love to see that as well. Whatever it may be, the Dolphins need to do their homework. It's a month away from the draft and it's all ready to go. Ooh, best player available with focus. I love to see that, man. Dang-a-ring. I'm hearing the Lions, Jets, and Falcons are making a push for Lamar. Cap for life. That's very interesting. Again, I haven't checked much into the Lamar news. I was at the doctor's office, had class, then I hopped on the show, but still got the tinfoil hat on, so we'll speculate for that one. Lions, Jets, and Falcons making a push for Lamar. They all have first rounders this year. I think the Lions have a lot of draft capital, in particular after that Stafford deal. So, if I had to see Lamar Jackson in any of these teams, and obviously the Jets have a lot of capital as well. And if Aaron Rodgers, if they're not making any traction on that deal, maybe they switch their focuses to Lamar Jackson. But let's say they're still focused on Aaron Rodgers, who I hope spurns them. Nothing would make me happier than missing out on Lamar Jackson and the hopes of Aaron Rodgers and then missing out on Rodgers as well. But the Lions, I think, would have the best chance. I think the Falcons have a good draft pick. So they're either content with staying with Desmond Ridder or they might draft another QB. Who knows? But the Lions, after finishing 9-8, they don't have that same luxury. I could see them going for Lamar. Of those three teams you named, that's probably the highest one. Indy. Okay. Again, they have a very high pick. I see them more drafting someone. Um, again, it's who is this? Kenny Moore, I believe his name is. Yeah. Before I totally misquote, I love him as a corner. Yeah, Kenny Moore the second from the Colts. Great corner. When I was watching the combine, NFL Plus, it was with the players, a little bit of a feedback into the little point of view. Kenny Moore was talking about it. He's a safety corner for the Colts. Excellent player. He mentioned that he doesn't have a say, obviously, in the team, but the general feel was that they've gotten a lot of veteran QBs, kind of stopgap the position, and they're in the mood for a nice rookie. They want some new life. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson is 26 years old. He's pretty new still. He's got some nice energy. It's not the same moves as them bringing in Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan. Like, they're bringing in still a young player. But why sacrifice 2 first-rounders when you still have a top 5, top 3 draft pick, and you can get your QB of the future? So, let's see, maybe the Lions. Maybe the Lions would be the case. But love the speculation. Might have to do a further Lamar video. Not as a Dolphins fan, but as a football fan, nobody steal this name, but Sports in Shorts. It's something I definitely want to work on. Just doing little short videos, just do more of my editing. And if you haven't checked out my shorts, they're a little fun time. But doing some editing, doing some quick takes, and it could be fun time. But that's just me spewing around. So, guys, thank you for tuning in to this little Nando talk. It has been an absolute pleasure combining the GM hats and the tinfoil hats to do a nice little Miami Dolphins Monday. I don't really have a fun name for it yet. I'll rework the episode, figure out the timestamps. We talked about a lot of conversations, a lot of fan topics, a lot of trade rumor speculations, a little bit of speculating what different routes the Dolphins are going to the draft. And, of course, we hit 1 or 2 mock drafts, but PFF, you're absolutely lame as heck for your little antics. So I'll give you $7 and then you'll never hear from me ever again. So thank you all for tuning in to this Miami Dolphins Monday, name to be determined because I've got to rework the episode title, but it's always a pleasure. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers. Hit the sub button if you haven't yet. It would be lovely. Like is always helpful as well, and just gives me a better chance to talk to more Dolphins fans. It was awesome to see it here. Just being able to interact, hear some topics, some questions, and just debate it on through. And as we wrap it up, Raphael, thank you for tuning in as well. Ooh, mock draft top 5. Richardson, Stroud, Anderson, Young, and Carter. I assume, is that starting order? I would love Anthony Richardson number 1 overall because I called Anthony Richardson to the Panthers. I thought that would be at 9th overall, but they traded up to number 1 overall. So if Anthony Richardson has to go somewhere, let it still be to the Panthers. So I still have that clip. But hey, man, I'm down to rock with it. I have to still look at other teams. Draft season is upon us. It's the best time of the year. Stay tuned for some more mock drafts. Stay tuned for Thursdays and Tinfoil Hat Thursday and some positional drafts. Will be some positional rankings. I'll be looking at linebacker, running back, and offensive lineman. So those are mostly the positions that we'll be interested of. And yeah, thank you for tuning in to Nando Talk. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll catch you next time. So, bada bing, bada bang. Fins up, chins up. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time. This has been the longest outro ever, as always. You guys are all legendary for being Dolphins fans and for supporting me. Bada bing, bada bang. See you next time.